What's up, guys and gals of the movement world? It's Sean Mishka, the Movement Miyagi, coming to you once again on behalf of Football Beyond the Stats in our movement play of the week this week for week 10 of the 2024 National Football League season. In this week, we could have selected one of two plays when it really came down to it. We had two plays and two players from the exact same game. The Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football. Of course, almost every given week, the one and only Lamar Jackson, my 2019 mover of the year, and probably the most special mover currently playing in the National Football League, does something awfully extraordinary, does something exemplary of dexterity in the National Football League. And last week on Thursday Night Football was no different when he did a tightrope down the sideline through traffic and around moving bodies, pulling guys into him based on the way he moved as he navigated his way down the sideline en route to an almost touchdown. But that play could only be superseded by this play, the play that I ultimately selected. Jamar Chase, equally as exemplary right now at the wide receiver position. Number one for the Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver down at the bottom of your screen. And what he did last Thursday night en route to three touchdowns, this one, the one that we're going to feature today, being the first of those three, and I think 264 yards on the night, was something special. And you're about to see what makes him special here on this respective play when he gets the ball in the open field, and the things that he's able to do is awfully running back like. In my opinion, he's the king of yards after the catch right now. And it's not just about how many yards he averages after the catch, but how he goes upon doing it. And for that reason, I want to feature Jamar Chase here today and really looking at the integrated nature of his perceptions, cognitions, and actions, and how the three feed into one another in a tightly coupled way. So, without further ado, let's get into it here. 100% speed as we typically would. Look at what Jamar Chase is doing. Again, bottom of your screen on this crosser as Joe Burrow climbs the pocket, finds his guy, and lets his guy get off to the races. But it's not just about him hitting high speeds and getting off to the races, guys and gals. It's in how he does it. And we're going to get into those nuances. We're going to unpack that and pull on some of those threads here in a bit. If you haven't seen this play before, I would definitely recommend coming back, watching this again and again. Not only my analysis, of course, but also the play in its entirety and see what you see as you watch Jamar Chase here in action doing what he does. And now that we've seen it a few times through at 100% speed, you know the deal here at Football Beyond the Stats in our movement play of the week. We are going to get into half speed and walk it through as we pull on some of those threads. Notice what I mentioned there a little bit earlier, that Jamar Chase and the way that he solves problems with a ball in his hands across situations, but in particular with the ball in the open field, trying to gain yards after the catch. I said that he's very running back like. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of times, wide receivers who are accustomed to getting yards after the catch, guys like Tyreek Hill, guys like CeeDee Lamb, guys like that, that rely on speed. Though Jamar Chase hits high outputs and high speeds, as he does on this play of 21 plus miles per hour, it's not only at him or with him hitting those high outputs, it's in how he couples his movement actions in a highly layered way, playing chess over checkers, as you're about to see. And I think it's that dimensionality, if you will, that layered problem solving that leaves me making the claim that Jamar Chase is the best of the best in the open field. There's nobody I'd rather have when he gets a ball in his hands. And I'm about to demonstrate exactly how he displayed this, how he expressed this. It really reminded me of a guy like Antonio Brown back in his mover of the year nods. 2015, 2017, my only two-time mover of the year, with a ball in his hands in the open field. Again, highly layered. Um, I would also see it from a guy like George Kittle a few years back, when he was really doing some things special after the catch. Now his body's maybe gone through some things, and taken a little wear and tear, and he's begun to solve problems a little differently. Maybe Travis Kelce a few years back. But again, Jamar Chase, league of his own right now. So I'll quit rambling here. Again, we see him on the bottom of the screen on this crosser as we saw it at 100% speed as Joe Burrow climbs the pocket. But it's really in what happens right after he receives the ball that I don't want us to miss. Let's not miss the forest through the trees, even though it's like a finger pointing away to the moon. Let's not concentrate on the finger. Let's see the heavenly glory around it. Let's see what the finger's pointing at. Right here, if you were to watch it, and now granted, it's really hard to tell, but I'm going to start drawing this out for you. As soon as he catches the ball, he does this immediate measure stick of threats, of potential perturbations, of potential challenges that set up the disposition of the problem. Even if we were to step this back, now granted, you might be thinking to yourself, well, yeah, he's catching the ball, he's looking in that direction. But I think we have really purposeful perceptual pickup, purposeful information detection from Jamar Chase. And I have plenty of anecdotes here to maybe prove that point. You can't see it right now because it's kind of blurry, right? But if we were to really look at it, and I want you to do that, I want you to go back and watch it for yourself and see what I'm talking about. That when the ball meets him, he gives this immediate look over here. Now he's already moved on, right? But he then turns his body, turns his shoulders, not only to get upfield, but he acts to perceive. And you're going to see that a lot from Jamar Chase, not only on this play, but if you were to watch him on any given Sunday, on any given play, you see him with this quick scanning, this quick perceptual search. And now I often tell the players I work with, don't just look, but also see. And I see players quickly look because I'm telling them and engaging them and imploring them to search. But I can tell that they're not really seeing. Jamar Chase, on the other hand, and now that's, of course, I hope that they get enough exposure, giving my players credit where credit's due. If I give them enough exposure, enough experience, they will start to see when they look, right? That's my hope anyway, as I'm attempting to channel the education of their attention, because I know that it's the attention and that perceptual pickup that flows and channels into their intentions and their actions, right? Or the decisions that they make, and ultimately how they solve the problem and adapt their actions in doing so. But what you're going to see from Jamar Chase is really quick perceptual scanning. But I can tell he's seeing. And the reason why I can tell he's seeing, and I don't want you guys to miss this, is it immediately flows into his way of acting, him adapting his actions on the fly. And so when we see him turn his body again, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Sean, no kidding. He's trying to get north and south now. He's trying to get upfield. He's trying to get more vertical. But watch how each time that he gives this quick glance, it subsequently channels his actions. He veers a little bit more with Roquan Smith there, number 0, who's had some issues in coverage. Love Roquan Smith. Was on my all movement team before. Will likely be again. Is a tackling fanatic and fiend, chasing guys down from east to west, but he's had some issues in coverage, and we see it again here, particularly him decelerating in a tightly coupled fashion to act. We'll see that again from Roquan Smith when we see it from the other viewpoint. But I want you guys to really come back and again look at that. He veers a little right. And now when he veers, he being Jamar Chase, watch him. Watch where he goes in this next beat. Look at him. Do you see him glance? Now, guys and gals, we're at 50% speed. So for him to quickly look and gather and detect the information he needs, he's awfully sensitive, awfully attuned to informational variables that are going to tell him how threatening is this chasing cat. Okay. Now, granted, we typically will run and move fastest when we're being chased. That is, if we know that we're being chased, as Jamar Chase does, right? And so he's able to then navigate what's ahead based on that perceptual pickup. You might think I'm making a lot of this, and I am, because this, again, guys and gals, leads into him playing chess. There's that look right to the right, quickly gather, right back on my horse, look back to the left, right? That's that quick scanning that I'm talking about. Now, in order to quickly do that rapid scanning and to download the information, right? Get that information detection enough so it can channel into your intentions or your decisions, potentially your ways of interacting with the problem ahead, and then adapting your actions. You got to be awfully skillful. And right now, Jamar Chase is exactly that. Now we look at him look, right? And we see him looking ahead for the what is. And it's going to be about this type of vista, right? This type of affordance landscape. But we don't know exactly what he's looking at. I'm only speculating and hypothesizing, having watched him a bit and having watched, obviously, skilled movers in these types of situations. But let's look at his fixation now, being rightfully so as to where it needs to be as to what lies ahead. This dyadic relationship between 80 and 44, between his own blocker, this wide receiver, and the defensive back for the Baltimore Ravens. Okay. It's this chess that Jamar Chase is about to play that channels into how he acts. And let's not miss it. And with this type of movement skill, don't get it twisted. This isn't like innate. He has developed this, he has adapted this through exposure and experience. No doubt about it. And I'm going to tell you later as to how we might be able to channel that more for the players that we work with, right? But let's watch this unfold. 50% speed, again, a couple of chasers in the mix. Look at him look now. He's looked to this interaction, but where is he looking? Like I said, quick perceptual search, right? Quick scan. Let's see what other threats are coming, how close they are to me, how fast they might be moving, how they might be moving, their kinematics. And I have no doubt that he's feeling 23 here behind him because now, again, we see it. Look at the way he's positioned. He's veering a tad left. He's doing that for multiple reasons. This is the chess versus checkers that I was just talking about, Jamar Chase. Awfully impressive in the open field, as we're about to see. Let's watch one or two more frames ahead. Okay. Look at him here now. Now he gives the appearance as he's going to go right down this tunnel. Now, granted, he ultimately does go there. He's not going to go there just yet, though. What's he doing that for? Because he gets Marlon Humphrey here, who's had some struggles in these situations as of late, probably these last couple of years. He gets him moving in this direction. Shoot, I thought I had my arrow there, but I no longer do. He gets him moving in this direction, right? But watch what happens right after this. Okay. So let me clear that. Watch the next step with this left foot that goes back and down and then into the right step. Okay. He's going to pull Marlon Humphrey to slow him down and to get him back engaged with number 80. Okay. Marlon Humphrey's going to try to slow down, slow his feet, maybe even a half tempo and a half beat as Jamar Chase makes it look as if he's going here. But now, again, intentionality, skilled intentionality is being open and responsive to the rich landscape of affordances, right? And it's keeping those actions on the table for as long as he can, this meta stability, if you will, so he can remain flexible and adaptable to the what is. When he sees Marlon Humphrey slow his feet, come on back into number 80, okay? Now we see him, that slight turning, that slight veering. And look, guys and gals, he brought the chaos to him. The waves are crashing around him and to him. Sorry about that. I got my little Shih Tzu terrier here who keeps pushing on me. She's awfully excited about this play, just as I am. She is an agility dog in and of herself, as you guys have heard before. She might make an appearance at some point here. She's trying to distract me, but I'm working through the chaos just as Jamar Chase is. Again, look at him now. Okay, he pulled Humphrey back, gets his guy in position, even though all this chaos. You got Marcus Williams here. You can see this pillow pushing behind me. We got Marlon Humphrey here. We got Roquan Smith here. These three guys all can be perturbations here. You got Simpson running from behind, yet still chasing. Lots of purple jerseys chasing from behind. Jamar Chase fully in control of his interaction with the wave right now. And let's watch him. Those perceptions flow into the actions. Now he hits the gas pedal. Okay. Do you guys kind of see that? Let's, again, not miss this. I don't want you to miss this interaction. This drawing in of Humphrey and then hits it. That affordance opens up. That affordance is there. Jamar Chase knows that it's going to decay really quickly. It's going to close really quickly. So now he uses his speed. He uses the burst to get on his horse, to hit that 21 plus when it matters most. It isn't just that he hit 21 miles an hour or 21 plus. It's when he hit it and how he got to hitting it in relation to the problem, right? Now, look at, I told you guys before, always on that perceptual search, always trying to get an update, this online perceptual functional connection. Functional meaning practical, useful, relevant to the moment. He's getting that update. Look at him look over his shoulder, looks at him, looks back ahead so he can maintain speed, but he's not done searching just yet. You got to give another glance just to be sure that that gap that has closed is not threatening to bring him down in the last 6, 7 yards, and it isn't, right? Even though I think 21 might have been able to have a shot at him if he really wanted to. Okay, let's watch it at 50% speed here. And I want you to see it before we go to this other view, how intertwined, interwoven those perceptions, cognitions, and actions and the degrees of freedom between them really truly are. Because that's the functional fit between the movement solution and the movement problem, this unique, peculiar movement problem. Like I said earlier, we can get players more attuned, more sensitive, more intentional, more adaptable. And we can do it through exposure and experience. And I'm about to show you in a little bit as to what we might be able to do, how we might be able to set that up. And I'm probably going to do it here with this view. But again, now from this bird's eye view, this isn't just the end zone view. This is up and top looking down. You can see, maybe not, you can see more right now, kind of, the bigger global disposition of the problem than Jamar Chase can. But let's not forget, Jamar Chase is scanning for the information, picking up that information, and channeling in his actions from it. But I am going to use this view to show us how we might be able to set up that problem. I just want you to guys to see some of the things that we saw unfold from that other viewpoint. Okay. But let's not get it twisted here, guys and gals. There's not many people who are doing it and doing it at this level. Okay. I think whoever the commentators and broadcasters are probably singling out Roquan Smith, some of his issues. Watch Roquan Smith, number 0. One of the most skillful linebackers in the league, but has been having some struggles in coverage, as have the other linebackers for the Baltimore Ravens in conjunction and in relation to the secondary members, especially when Kyle Hamilton is not on the field. Kyle Hamilton was a all movement team member from last year, was out at this respective time, right? We see again Jamar Chase on that crosser. I want to pick up when he catches this crosser. And look at that dot. Absolute on a line, absolute laser. Here, I want you guys to think about how we might be able to set up a movement problem. to look, feel, and act similar to this, okay? So let me put some stamps down. You can have a player, can be a wide receiver as it is here, could be a tight end, could be a running back, probably just close the space a little bit if you're going to do that. You could have defenders such as linebackers, as is the case here. You could include defensive ends who might actually have to get involved in this situation. Obviously, corners or secondary members, such as safeties, nickels as well. Okay. So let's think about how we might be able to set up a movement problem that looks, feels, acts, and behaves like that. I don't know if you guys can see my star on the Baltimore Ravens 50-yard line there, right on the hash. And you could do any number of things here. Okay. You could do a really wide movement problem, maybe say such as that, and let's just call it by 30 yards. Okay. So hash to sidelines, then with using the numbers, you might be able to tighten up that tunnel and to do something similar, but with a tightened or more condensed space, whether it's narrower or shorter. Okay. So right here, even if we have cones here, as I do with my stars, right, down the hashes on the 50 to the 20. And you can make it further if you wanted to. I typically don't make it quite that far because I don't need to go in those distances. I want more bodies typically in the space, particularly for the wide receivers, to get accustomed to using their own blockers against the defender. Maybe in this case, we could even remove the blocker if we wanted to. Okay. So you can kind of see that workspace size. If you can't, let me just draw it out for you. So you would see down the cones, right? And then this would be our line to gain. If I do it, say maybe such as this, right? This is a type of movement problem. And then we want to do it on both sides. This workspace, we could flip the field then, flip to the other side, right? And have a guy enter that space. Let's just say we want to use this as an example, and we will in this case, okay? Jamar Chase, right here, my offensive player is going to be entering the space by catching the ball. Okay. So we will have a quarterback, who's maybe by themselves. They would be the only isolated person delivering this ball over any distance, right? And he, Jamar Chase, is just entering the workspace with a reception, not being able to see where the opponents and or teammates might be. And then we can use this same amount of guys. Now, this would be, in my opinion, probably the optimal amount of guys. We have a chaser entering the space from behind. He could start anywhere behind this line, typically, is the way I would do it. Okay. So that would usually maybe be a linebacker. It could be a corner if we have him out in maybe this type of space, but he can enter from wherever he wants. He enters and can take off as soon as this guy catches the ball. We can have a guy starting here. And this guy typically would be able to start anywhere behind, in and behind, and outside of the box in comparison to the receiver, the ball catcher in this case. And then we would have, let me get my bubble to be able to show you both of the guys. Okay. Then we have an offensive blocker and a defensive blocker, or excuse me, defensive pursuer, tackler, wannabe tackler inside of the space. Okay. So here it turns out to be a 2v3, right? Two Bengals or two offensive players, wide receiver and a blocker in the space already, and then three defenders, two entering from both sides, one already in the space. Now, this guy is going to enter as well. Of course, oops, I was trying to bubble him. This guy's going to enter the space as well. You could have him do it, but that quickly turns into a 2v4, right? Obviously, a much more complex problem. If you change the spatial relations or the numerical relations, it's likely going to change the complexity of the problem. Hopefully, that makes some sense. And then what you can do here, and I'm going to erase that, just kind of envision this disposition of the problem that I have here. Let's watch it play out and remember what I said in the types of skills we're trying to channel here, just as we would for Jamar Chase, right? Or just like we would see from Jamar Chase, we see a chasing, pursuing defender, right? Coming from behind. We see one here in Roquan Smith coming at an angle. So he can get attuned and sensitive to pursuing, chasing, kinesthetic sense and awareness there, as well as the glance and perceptual search. He can get it for the bearing angle here from left to right with a linebacker that is entering the space. And he can also, of course, which is the main kind of key component here, this dyadic relationship. And now, of course, what happens here is this guy becomes highly relevant as well, as we see it is, because we can speculate even from here that Jamar Chase is probably looking to him right around at this moment in time to try to determine where is he going to intersect with me? How close is he to that intersection point? And what is my gap or my affordance, my opportunity to act really look like here as I enter that? And of course, that's going to change moment by moment. It's not just this snapshot and disposition. And then especially when Jamar Chase or our player that we're trying to get attuned and adaptable around this dyadic relationship and interacting that way. We can educate attention and intention in a Jacobs and Michaels direct learning type of fashion. Attention, can you look to that defender? Can you look through your own teammate? What information are you getting from the teammate? Probably spatial and interpersonal distance. Let me back up there. Okay. There we are. One thing we're going to get, let's talk about some of those informational variables, right? And what we want to get them attuned to. Okay. Interpersonal distance between himself and the blocker. We see posture and kinematics of the blocker. And then what we would optimally like to see him do is get attuned and sensitive to where is this guy moving? How is this guy behaving? Where can he go? How is he positioned? His posture, his kinematics, and the like. How might we educate the intention? I might tell the player, I want you to act in a way that you can put this defender on a string in relation to using him being your own offensive blocker against that defender. So set that defender up based on the interactions of your teammate. It's really easy here, guys and gals. You give them enough goes, enough exposures to this, and they will get sensitive and attuned, as well as adaptable, in being able to tightly couple their perceptions to their actions in this fashion. And of course, ultimately, if they start to search more, and you can nudge them again, implore them to scan, not just get fixated and focused on this interaction. So they're like camped out there with their perception because there's other dudes coming, right? There's chasers coming. I still have the double lines there, but you guys kind of get the deal, right? There's other threats. So you want to be on that constant scan and search for the threats as well as then, as importantly, the opportunities to act, aka those affordances, right? So hopefully that makes some sense when you're really looking at this play out and how we might be able to set up and we could see that if we stopped it at the 25, 20-yard line, something of that nature, right? Like would that typically is a workspace that we will utilize in our own learning environment in these types of scenarios and situations? Maybe we'll do it at the towards the goal line. So coming like 25 in, red zone-ish type of stuff, but extending that out a little further, 25 in or 20 in. Sometimes we will do it over in the middle of the field like it would be happening here. But my point with saying all this is we can set up movement problems that look, feel, act, and unfold similar to this, and then nudge the movement behaviors to be similar as well to that which what we saw from Jamar Chase. Truly skillful, truly dexterous in being able to find the functional fit to the emerging what is that emerging movement problem. So for Sean Mishka, Football Beyond the Stats, I'm the Movement Miyagi, Sean Mishka. This has been week 10. I will talk to you guys in week 11. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, comment. You guys know the deal. Share it with your people. I would definitely appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys next